Hi everyone, it's Nicole here today for Lawn Fawn, and I have a fun little play on words Father's Day card to share with you, featuring some of the new stamps from the Let's Barbecue stamp set, as well as some of these stamps and new dies for the Happy Summer and Make Lemonade stamp sets. To start my card today, I am going to stamp a whole bunch of the images on some watercolor cardstock. And then I'm going to be coloring in these images with the Zig Clean Color Real Brush Markers for a fun watercolored look. I'm even stamping the ants on the watercolor cardstock just so that everything is uniform, even though I am not watercoloring those. Those are a solid image. And I love that there's dies for these now. I think it really makes creating a cute little scene very, very easy. I'm going to start with the watermelon from the Happy Summer stamp set. I love coloring watermelons. I don't know why. I just think they're really fun with the combinations of pinks and greens and reds. I am using 053 and 047 for the green on the watermelon. And then for the red portion, I'm using 020 and blending it out with 028. By simply pulling that out with that really, really light pink marker, you get that nice kind of gradient color change from the dark red to the kind of lighter as it gets closer to the watermelon rind. Next, I am coloring in the hamburger buns with 062 and 074. You might notice that I'm using only about 2 colors here for each area, one kind of lighter color and then one for the shading. I find that that works pretty easy, especially for a smaller image like this when using these markers. You can go back in with your darker color if you need to. I'll go ahead and color my ketchup here on the hot dog using 020 and then 024 to darken that up just a tiny bit. All of the marker colors are listed in the upper left corner of the screen. Color in the cheese on the hamburger and also the hamburger bun. Now for the lemonade, I'm using 050 and 051, but I'm not going to color all the way to the bottom of the glass. I'm going to wet the tip of a fine detail pen or paintbrush and pull that color down to lighten it even more near the bottom of the glass. I'll color in the handle of the barbecue tool there, the spatula, with some reds, and then the top with some grays. And finally, I'm going to do a little blue for the top of the cup, a very, very light blue. And then I'm going to color in this hot dog with 060 and 068. And that's going to finish up coloring all the images for my card here. I have lined up the coordinating Lawn Cuts dies, then taped them in place with some post-it tape and then ran them through my Sizzix Big Shot. Anything that I didn't cut with the first pass of the machine, I'm cutting the ants, this trio of ants, twice. I can go ahead and cut with the second pass of the machine. I always try to get as many die cut through one pass or 2 passes of the machine as possible. Now I need to die cut the rest of the elements for my card. I'm going to frame up the scene that I'm creating with a black frame. I'm using the 2 largest frames from the large stitched rectangles die collection. And I'll just die cut those from black cardstock. Using the smaller of the 2 rectangles for the frame, I'm going to die cut some blue cardstock and some green cardstock. That's going to create the inside sky portion, and then the green will be the grass. I am going to be using the stitched hillside borders on the green. I can cut one from each side to create that nice green grass look. I originally thought I might use the grassy border die, but I felt like the blades of grass would take away from the ants. So instead I chose to make my grass more this landscape look instead of having those blades of grass sticking up, if that makes sense. Now once I have those all die cut. I laid everything out to kind of give me an idea of the space that I have for stamping my greeting. And I am creating a custom greeting here using the Milo's ABCs. And part of the reason I wanted to do that was because I wanted to have a little play on words or a little fun with the ants on the card. And by using the word fantastic, you have the word ant right in that card. So to really make it pop, I am stamping that portion of fantastic, the ANT, with the new lobster red ink. And then the rest of the greeting is going to be in the black licorice ink. To make sure that your greetings are spaced evenly, especially if you're centering them, start with your middle letter. I always like to write out my title or my greeting, and then I start with the middle letter and work my way out on each side. So you saw there that I started with the A and then worked my way to the front of the word, and now I am working my way to the end of the word to finish the word fantastic. I love this stamp set. This is probably my favorite alphabet stamp set. I love the tall, skinny, kind of imperfect letters. I use this a ton. I'm going to do a little dot, dot, dot there. I'm also using a scrubber pad to make changing out my letters really fast and getting those letters cleaned and put back on the stamp sheet very, very easy. Even when working with a phrase like this says have a, also start with your middle letter and make sure and count those spaces as a space so that when you stamp it, it is still centered, if that makes sense. So there's have a, fantastic, and then the rest of the greeting is going to be on the inside of the card. So I'm going to open up my white card base, and before I attach anything to the front of the card, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the inside. In the event that I might make a mistake, I don't want to glue all of that stuff down and then either have to pull it off and risk ruining it, or have to start over or whatever. So that's why I didn't attach anything when I was stamping my greeting on the front. And that's why I haven't attached that whole frame and scene to the front of my card here. I want to make sure that I get everything stamped correctly, because I've been known to leave out a letter or not spell something correctly. And that's just so irritating. So I've learned through trial and error to make sure that I don't attach anything until I get it stamped. I'll finish with the Father's Day and stamp an exclamation point at the end. And then I thought it would be fun to take an ant from that Happy Summer stamp set and stamp him there right next to the F in Father's Day. It kind of brings the design from the front of the card to the inside. And then there's this cute little dashed line also from Happy Summer, and I thought that would be fun too. Kind of looks like he's walked from the front of the card to the inside of the card. So that'll finish up the inside. I'm going to go ahead now and just lay my frame in place and add some adhesive to the center and line up and add my center sky panel. I can pop off my frame now. I'm going to be adhering my frame with some foam adhesive so that it really frames up the design. I'll attach both of my green landscape pieces. And here I'm taking some foam tape, cutting it in half it's a little too wide for my frame, but this way I also get more out of each piece of foam tape by cutting it in half. Peel off all of that backing paper and then pop that right there on the front of my card. And now I can start adding all of my cute, cute little ant critters. So using a zig glue pen for any of these smaller little things like the ants. And I like to use acrylic blocks to hold down my little pieces here. You've probably seen me do that before if you've seen my videos. If I'm using liquid glue, a lot of times I will use something heavy just to hold that down and hold it in place until the glue dries. I'll finish adding all of these pieces I added a little black gel pen to the ants and to the seeds on the watermelon and the eyes on the lemonade. Some white for the sesame seeds on the bun. And that is it. Thanks for joining me for this Lawn Fawn Father's Day card. The supplies I've used are listed and linked below the video on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.